Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. My name is Ellie and this is going to be my winter book recommendations video. So in this video I have decided to compile a list of books, and I've chosen books that I think would work for various different readers. So I'm really hoping that there'll be something for everybody on this recommendations list. So I've chosen particular tropes and particular genres that people tend to reach for this time of year in the hopes that there'll be something for everyone. And also I thought it might be useful if you're looking for a last minute gift for someone. Maybe you'll find something from this video that you think they might enjoy. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy this video and let's just crack on. So the first little genre that I've chosen is Cosy Fantasy, because I feel like a lot of people like to reach for something cozy and comforting this time of year, perhaps snuggled up by the fireplace with a cup of hot cocoa. And there were quite a few books that I could have chosen for this particular genre, but the one that I've decided to go for is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. This is such a fun young adult fantasy book. So in this story we follow our main character Mona, who isn't like the other wizards charged with defending the city. So she has a familiar that is a sourdough starter, and her magic only works on bread. And the story takes off when she finds the dead body of someone in the bakery where she lives, and she finds out that there is some kind of assassin that is going about the streets of the city, and she decides to take it upon herself to help defend her city. But of course she has bread magic, so she has to be quite creative in the ways that she can defend herself and her city. So it's really fun because we get things like angry gingerbread men that she bakes, and she also bakes like giant bread golems, and it's just so fun. It's so creative. I love the cozy setting, the fact that she lives in a bakery. Of course it's got that sprinkle of magic. She is a wizard, and I think that you would find this really cozy and comforting and perfect for this time of year. Next up, quite an obvious category I thought, would be a book with a snowy setting. For this one, the obvious choice is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I'm sure this is in a lot of people's winter recommendations videos, but yeah, any excuse to talk about this book and I'm going to jump at it, because this is actually the first book in one of my favourite fantasy series ever. I just really love this series, and it's so perfect for a snowy setting because this is actually set in medieval Russia, and a lot of the time our characters are having to survive the winter. It's a really cold, icy, snowy setting, and it literally makes you kind of shiver and feel cold reading this book because it's so atmospheric. Obviously this is a historical fantasy, and we follow our main character Vasilisa, who has this unique ability to see household spirits, and she lives a very content life, but unfortunately her mother actually died in childbirth, and so her father decides to go to Moscow to bring back a new wife, and the woman that he chooses is actually a devout Christian. And when she comes to the town and meets Vasilisa, she has a very different understanding of things. So she believes that the household spirits that Vasilisa can see are actually demons, and that to talk to them or to interact with them in any way is a sin, and she's incredibly scared and frightened, and so she decides to bring this new priest to town to try and get rid of these demons and to kind of basically replace the old ways with Christianity. And as a result, Vasilisa sees that crops start failing and dark creatures from the forest start kind of creeping closer to the village, and no one really understands why. It's only Vasilisa that kind of puts two and two together and realizes that it is getting rid of these household spirits and kind of taking on this new religion that is causing these issues, and so she has to kind of take it upon herself to try and save the village. And it's so atmospheric. It has one of my favourite villains ever. The priest character is so interesting and has such a strange dynamic with Vasilisa, and I just love this series so much. It's quite slow paced, so it might not be for you if you prefer things that are a little bit more pacey, but I just love it and it's absolutely perfect for this time of year. Okay, next up I wanted to recommend to you a winter horror. And the one that I've chosen is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This is a book that I've recently read and I had such a fun time with this one. It's so fast paced and it's set on a snowy mountaintop, which is perfect for this time of year. And we follow our main character Mattie, who lives with her husband in this very kind of basic shack on the mountainside. They have a very old-fashioned style of living and it's very clear that Mattie is in an abusive relationship. Her husband is incredibly controlling, incredibly abusive, doesn't let her leave the mountaintop really, and the book opens with our main character actually finding the dead body of a fox out in the snow. And interestingly, there are some kind of strange tracks around the body and the tracks are not like anything she's seen before, so they're much bigger than like a bear footprint and it's all a little bit odd. And then one day these travellers arrive on the mountain because they have heard rumours of a sighting of some kind of big creature and they're all very interested in kind of mythological or like creatures that people don't really believe in, like Bigfoot and stuff, so they're trying to find evidence for this creature that's been spotted on the mountain. But that isn't a good thing for our main character because her husband is incredibly paranoid. He doesn't like anyone looking at her, he doesn't like anyone coming near their home, and so it puts her in a really vulnerable situation and the story kind of goes on from there. It's very much a story about her surviving or trying to get away from this abusive relationship, but there's also of course this creature and it's so pacey. It reads a little bit like a thriller and it's so much fun. So yeah, perfect for a snowy setting and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Okay, so next up I wanted to recommend to you a Christmas horror, which is actually a very different niche to winter horror, and it's a genre that I am just getting into. I haven't read that many books in this genre, but I think it is so fun because I feel like Christmas is a time that's incredibly saccharine sweet. It's lots of talk of family and, you know, friendship and love and all of this fluffy stuff, and sometimes you want something that's a little bit different because you can get a bit tired of all that sickly sweet stuff. So the idea of a horror that's Christmassy just really appeals to me, and I really wanted to recommend to you this anthology collection because I think it looks so fun. This is Hark the Herald Angels Scream and it's written by Christopher Golden. This is a collection of 18 horror stories that are written by some really highly acclaimed horror authors, and honestly, as soon as I saw the cover, I really wanted this book because it's so fun, it's so retro, it really tells you what to expect from this horror collection, and I just think this is going to be the perfect way to kind of end a Christmassy day. Perhaps in the evening when you're snuggled up in bed, you can read one of these short stories, and I like the fact that it's an anthology, so you're not having to dedicate your time to a really long story. It's just a nice little short and sweet something that you can end your day with. So yeah, I think this one looks so fun. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are someone who does enjoy the sweet romantic side of Christmas, then I wanted to recommend to you a Christmassy romance story, and this is something that I haven't had much experience with. I'm not a massive contemporary romance person, but I did read a book quite a while ago called One Day in December, written by Josie Silver, and I remember quite enjoying this one, although it has been a little while since I read it, so I'm just going to find the blurb for you because I feel like that'll be more accurate than me trying to recall what happens. So the tagline is 2 people, 10 chances, 1 unforgettable love story. Laura is pretty sure love at first sight doesn't exist anywhere but in the movies. But then, through a misted up bus window one snowy December, she sees a man who she knows instantly is the one. Their eyes meet, there's a moment of pure magic, and then her bus drives away. Certain they're fated to find each other again, Laurie spends a year scanning every bus stop and cafe in London for him. But she doesn't find him, not when it matters anyway. Instead, they reunite at a Christmas party when her best friend Sarah giddily introduces her new boyfriend to Laurie. It's Jack, the man from the bus. It would be. What follows for Laurie, Sarah and Jack is 10 years of friendship, heartbreak, missed opportunities, roads not taken and destinies reconsidered. One Day in December is a joyous, heartwarming and immensely moving love story to escape into and a reminder that fate takes inexplicable turns along the route to happiness. So yeah, I feel like this one might not necessarily be for everyone because of some of the tropes. It definitely has that love at first sight fate trope in it, which may not land for everybody. But what I really enjoyed about this book is that it takes place over quite a long period of time, and so you really see the ups and downs that our main character goes through, and you see how friendships and her relationships shift and change across the years. And for me, that just felt quite realistic and quite moving. It felt like I really got to know the characters, and yeah, I just quite enjoyed this one, so I would recommend that to you if you are looking for a romance. Okay, next up I wanted to recommend to you a ghost story, because to me the idea of sitting around a fireplace and telling ghost stories is just the most cozy, wintry thing, and I just love that idea. I think winter, dark nights, cold nights are just the perfect atmosphere to tell ghost stories, so I definitely wanted to include one on this list. And the one that I have decided to go for is actually the book that I'm currently reading, and that is The Whistling by Rebecca Netley. So I haven't read too much of this one, I'm only about 60 pages in, but I am already really enjoying the vibes of this one. It's got nice short chapters, it's really easy to go through the pages, and it's just got all of the tropes that I enjoy. So this follows our main character Elspeth, who is a nanny, and she travels to this remote Scottish island to look after this child in this manor house, and the child has been through a lot of tragedy. So she has actually recently lost her twin brother, she's also lost her mother and father. It's been a whole thing, so she's obviously going through the grieving process, and she actually is mute, so she doesn't say anything, and that makes it quite a challenge for our main character to get to know her and to form a relationship with her. And to make matters worse, of course the manor house is a little bit decrepit, it's kind of going a little bit mouldy in places, it's creepy, and there is this whistling sound that she hears occasionally. And yeah, I'm just getting started, but the vibes in this book are immaculate. Our little girl character has a creepy doll that she carries around with her, which is such an iconic trope, and I just feel like it's so fun cuddling up with this book and kind of being transported to this gothic kind of manor house and hearing this kind of ghostly story play out. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this one and would recommend it to you if you're looking for something ghostly this time of year. Okay, so next I wanted to recommend to you a wintry thriller, and for this one I of course had to choose No Exit by Taylor Adams, because to me this is the perfect winter thriller. So this book follows our main character who is driving through a snowstorm, and it gets too bad for her to carry on, so she pulls over into this way station, and when she's at this rest stop she overhears some strange noise coming from a van in the car park, and it turns out that there is a child trapped in this van. So she knows that one of the people in the rest stop is the person who has abducted this child, so she's trying to kind of figure out who is the culprit, and it gets really intense. Of course you've got the snowy setting, so it's so perfect for this time of year. I love the fact that because of the snowstorm they're confined to this rest stop, so they're kind of all stuck in one place, and you're kind of trying to figure out who's the one that could be, you know, having this child in the van. And you know, we follow her as she's trying to figure out what the hell she's gonna do. Is she gonna try and break this child out of the van but then what's she gonna do with the child because she can't go anywhere because of the snowstorm, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one and would recommend it to you. Okay, so next up I wanted to recommend to you a cozy mystery. So for this I had to recommend On What Grounds by Cleo Cole, because this is a cozy mystery set in a coffee shop. And I mean, look at the cover, need I say more? This is like the coziest setting for a mystery and just the perfect thing to snuggle up with this winter. So this is actually the first book in a series of sort of coffee shop cozy mysteries, and in this one we follow our main character Claire, who finds her manager dead on the floor in the back of her coffee shop, and the detectives can't find any evidence of foul play, but Claire doesn't believe that. And so yes, we follow her as she's trying to piece together what happened to her manager and if she is in any danger. Next, I wanted to recommend to you a dark fairy tale, and of course I had to go for Krampus by Brom, because this is just absolutely perfect for this time of year. Krampus is of course a kind of folkloric character who comes out at Christmas time to kind of judge children and to see if they're worthy of getting any presents at Christmas. And yeah, this is so fantastic because it's got artwork in it. Brom is actually an artist, so he includes pieces of his artwork within his stories just to make the reading experience even more entertaining, and I just think this one is perfect. I'll give you a little read of the blurb. So it says, on Christmas Eve in a small hollow in Boone County, West Virginia, struggling songwriter Jesse Walker witnesses a strange spectacle: 7 devilish figures chasing a man in a red suit towards a sleigh and 8 reindeer. When the reindeer leap skyward, taking the sleigh, devilmen and Santa into the clouds, screams follow. Moments later, a large sack plummets back to the earth, a magical sack that thrusts the down-on-his-luck singer into the clutches of the terrifying Yule Lord Krampus. But the lines between good and evil become blurred as Jesse's new master reveals many dark secrets about the cherry-cheeked Santa Claus, including how half a millennium ago the jolly old saint imprisoned Krampus and usurped his magic. Now Santa's time is running short, for the Yule Lord is determined to have his retribution and reclaim Yuletide. If Jesse can survive this ancient feud, he might have the chance to redeem himself in his family's eyes, to save his own broken dreams, and to help bring the magic of Yule to the impoverished fold of Boone County. How great does that sound? Right, the next book I want to recommend to you is a non-fiction, and for that I'm going to choose The Fright Before Christmas by Jeff Bellinger. So this is such a fun little book that basically tells kind of the creepy origins of winter festivals, so things like Yuletide, things like Krampus and other various terrifying characters that used to be sort of celebrated this time of year, and it's so fun. This is such a lovely little book because it's got some gorgeous images in it, so I would recommend picking up the hardcover if you want to give this one a read. Because it just adds to the enjoyment, or it does for me anyway. And yeah, it's just so nice. The chapters are quite nice and short, and it's just, for me, it's really fun learning a little bit about the darker side of Christmas and winter and the festivities that go on around this time of year. Okay, and the last type of book that I wanted to recommend to you is a classic, and for this I've decided to choose The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. This is just so perfect for this time of year because it starts out with our main character sitting around a fireplace with his family, and they're all telling creepy ghost stories, and he decides to recount his own terrifying tale. And then it goes back in time to the beginning of his story, and it's when he's a little bit younger and he's working as a solicitor, and he is sent to this remote town to basically sort out the paperwork for a wealthy woman who has recently passed away. and she used to live in this manor house out in the moors, and so he goes to her house to go through her paperwork and to kind of get everything in order really. And when he is there, he starts to experience some strange ghostly happenings. And the manor house is really interesting actually because of where it is. It can easily get cut off from the mainland by the tide, so we get lots of creepy moments of him being kind of trapped in this house when there's creepy things going on. He hears screams out in the moors, and he sees the ghostly appearance of the woman in black, which is this infamous character that a lot of the villagers know about. So yeah, this is just the perfect creepy, atmospheric, gothic ghost tale, and I just had such a fun time with this one and would highly recommend. So there we go, there are all of my wintry recommendations. I really hope that there is a genre or a type of book that you enjoy in this list. Please let me know if you have any recommendations for me, because I'm always looking for atmospheric wintry reads. And you know, winter's not just December. I think, you know, January and February are cold and icy too, and I like to read sort of wintry based stories during those months as well. So yeah, I hope that you are having a wonderful day whatever it is you are doing, and don't forget to like this video if you did like it. Do subscribe if you want to see some more from me, because it really helps out my channel, and I guess I'll see you next time with another video. Bye!